Cardio is useless is a very popular fitness trend. I follow a lot of fitness accounts on YouTube and Instagram, and I hear this message all the time. Cardio is useless. You don't need cardio. Forget all the cardio. You can achieve your goals without it. I understand the reasoning behind this trend, but I think the way it's often presented is misleading and problematic. For someone who's already sufficiently active, watching a video like that, they can understand that there's a nuance to it. They can say, okay, I want to lose fat. I already do cardio. I already strength train. I already practice karate. Let's say we're talking about me here. Do I need to do extra cardio in order to lose weight, particularly body fat? Watches the video. Oh, the message is I don't have to. I can adjust my diet to lose fat. I don't need to add extra cardio on top of what I'm already doing or make that cardio more intense. My schedule is pretty full already, so that's good news. If I just adjust my diet, I can start losing fat. So for someone who's already active, hearing that cardio is useless, to achieve your goals, meaning adding extra cardio is useless, or, it's not necessary. It's not necessary. It's not that it's useless. It's just not necessary to achieve fat loss. Okay, that's understandable. For someone who's not active, hearing that cardio is useless, cardio isn't necessary, you don't need cardio to lose fat, they're already inactive. They don't need more encouragement to remain inactive. This is just another excuse to skip it. It's like, oh, well, this fitness expert told me I don't need cardio. My doctor tells me I should, but this fitness influencer said no. I'm just going to skip it. I can look as good as this person. I'm just going to stay sitting on the couch. So someone who's not active needs cardio more than anything else, more than any other type of exercise. That cardio is going to be the biggest benefit to their health and fitness. And hearing that cardio is useless, even if there's a caveat to that, it's just going to be further justification to be sedentary. So I think this trend caters to people who don't want to do cardio anyway. It appeals to those people and it justifies them not doing it. Oh, this person with this amazing body told me to not do it. I'm just going to keep sitting on the couch and eating my Cheetos. So people hear you don't need to do cardio and they ignore the rest of the statement. Some people will listen to the whole thing, but again, I think it's typically people who are already really active, already fitness oriented, and people who are not, they're going to hear the beginning part of the message, which is what they really want to hear, and it's going to justify continuing to skip the cardio they don't want to do anyway. But what about heart health? All the health advice out there for heart health, it's you need cardio and you need a lot more of it than many people get. We're a very sedentary society now. People are less active than ever. We do not need more encouragement to be sedentary, right? Or some of these videos, and a lot of the comments I read on these videos are really toxic too, and just people saying, oh good, I hate cardio, now I can just skip it, or oh, I just do my 2 15-minute sessions a week of cardio, I'm good then. That's less than guidelines just for basic health. That's so low. You're not going to get enough cardiovascular benefit from 2 15-minute sessions a week. That is piss poor, and it's horrible. It's horrible thinking that that's enough. So, and some people, I watch some influencers, well, I don't follow them anymore because I find they give this mixed messaging. There's one in particular, I really liked her videos, but when a personal trainer starts really pushing supplements, particularly supplements that really shouldn't be suggested unless you've gotten blood work done, like particular minerals, I stop listening. I think, you're just trying to make a buck and you really don't know what you're talking about. Only your doctor or dietitian should really be prescribing supplements like that. But anyway, her messaging is that you don't need cardio to look good. And look at me, I used to do a lot of cardio. I was a cardio junkie. This is how my body looked. I stopped doing all the cardio. Now I just lift weights. Look how awesome I look. You can look like me even if you hate cardio. But then you read some of the captions on her videos and she talks about getting thousands and thousands of steps in every day because she works at her desk and her desk has a treadmill under it. So you don't need cardio, or you don't need cardio to look good. Well, a lot of these people who are really jacked, they do cardio as well. They just may not be selling that to you, or they may not admit it. They might do cardio in other ways. Maybe they do a lot of walking. That's still cardio. You don't have to run to get a good workout. So I think there's a lot of mixed messaging around this, and people hear, oh, you don't need cardio and I can look like her, I can look like him, but they're not telling you all of it, right? They're just telling you what you want to hear, which is that you want a shortcut. You want a shortcut to kicking ass and looking your best. There are no shortcuts. So, do you need cardio for fat loss? No, actually you don't. You don't need any exercise for fat loss. You can change your diet, create a calorie deficit by eating less, eating fewer calories, and you will start to lose fat. You don't need to do that through exercise. If you want to lose fat, hey, hypothetically, you could do this. You can go to the nearest hospital and get them to put you in a medically induced coma, and just make sure that they adjust your intake, your parenteral nutrition, what you get through your IV, so that you get fewer calories than you need to maintain your weight. You will start to lose weight. You will start to lose fat. You'll also lose muscle. Your fitness will be shit. You won't look good by the end of it, but you will lose fat. It will happen. No activity required. You're just lying there in the hospital bed doing nothing, losing weight. Okay, so no activity. Cardio, it's not required for losing weight. You can adjust your diet and you can start losing weight. So strictly no, you do not need cardio to lose weight. It can certainly help though, and I'll talk about my personal experience with this. But do you need cardio to look good? That's another thing. They say you don't need cardio to improve your body composition, and certainly you don't need it. If your goal is just aesthetics, you can just lift weights but your diet has to be on point too. Diet is the big thing. If you want to lose fat, you really need to adjust your diet. You really need to make sure you're eating fewer calories so that you start burning fat, right? But you can do that just through diet and strength training. But if you're just strength training, strength training does have cardiovascular benefits for sure, but you do see, you see these people at the gym who, particularly people who are like really, really big, enhanced, and they're huffing and puffing up a flight of stairs. They're out of breath when they're talking because their their muscle mass is so big that it taxes their cardiovascular system. And that's not true fitness. That's not, like, if that's your goal, if your goal is just aesthetics, okay, that's fine. You don't need cardio, but it would certainly help you. It's so much easier to push yourself when you're lifting weights, when your cardiovascular fitness is good. Absolutely. So cardio will help you even with that, even as just as a supplement to help you achieve that goal. But you don't need it. But honestly, lifting weights is a lot harder than cardio. I don't know why. So for someone who's sedentary, telling them you just need to lift weights, you don't need to do cardio. Cardio is actually the easier first step for getting into fitness. Starting with a brisk walk is so much easier than lifting weights. So it's kind of a strange thing for getting people active. It's a strange message to be giving them. So does this mean you shouldn't do cardio? It depends on your goal, right? It depends on your goal. If you just want to lose fat, you don't need to do any exercise at all. It can certainly help though. Exercise helps a lot and it has other benefits. You don't have to if you just want to look good. You don't have to, but how good are you going to feel? How healthy are you going to be? How fit are you going to be if you don't do cardio? So for me, personal experience, and this kind of goes against what people say about cardio. So typically with cardio, the story is, the more cardio you do, or cardio boosts your appetite. So if you do a lot of running, for example, you're going to be hungrier and that's going to offset the calories that you burn. So cardio may not be ideal for losing weight because you're hungrier and you eat more. My personal experience is the opposite of this. I always lose fat when I do cardio. When I do a lot of cardio, the more cardio I do, the more fat I lose. I've tried this at different times in my life. Some times in my life, some periods I've only done cardio. Some periods I've only done strength training. Right now I'm doing both. That's my preference, but I've tried this too just as like experiment or based on preference and paid attention to the results to see, does this make a difference? When I'm just doing cardio, I'm doing a lot sufficient cardio, I will lose weight. Absolutely. When I'm just lifting weights and not doing cardio, I gain fat every time. So what's going on here? Lifting weights doesn't boost your appetite in the same way that cardio does. That's for sure, even in my experience. But I always carry more body fat when I just lift weights, and I always carry less body fat when I just do cardio. So what happens is that if I'm just doing cardio, there's a period of time where I was just running all the time, and I was losing fat. I did lose muscle at a certain point, though. I do need to say that when I'm doing a lot of running, my leg muscle does decrease in size because, if you're doing endurance running, that's what I was doing. You don't need as much weight. And when you're carrying that extra muscle, it just slows you down, right? If you're sprinting, it's a different story. But I was doing endurance running. And so my thighs did get smaller, and I didn't really like that. I like to have a bit of thick going on with my legs. So I cut back on the running and, balanced it out with more strength training and HIIT. And I started to get that muscle back pretty quickly, but losing fat for sure. I do that when I'm running a lot. So what happens for me is it does boost my appetite to do that cardio. And you burn a lot of calories, like running in particular burns a shitload of calories. At first though, if I do a long run, after the run for several hours, I don't feel very hungry at all. It really does suppress my appetite at first. Later in the day, it catches up to me and I start getting hungry. But what I find is I don't feel like grazing. I don't feel like just munching out of boredom or stress. Cardio has such an amazing effect on my mood. It decreases my stress level. I feel so much better physically, mentally, all of it, emotionally, that I don't engage in overeating. I don't engage in that emotional eating, which is something that I do when I don't do cardio, when I'm just lifting weights. So it has nothing to do with how many calories I'm burning or appetite. The appetite boost from cardio, like that doesn't seem to be a factor. For me, it's all about when I do a lot of cardio, I feel better, I feel less stressed, I feel happier. I want to eat real food and real meals and satisfying meals. I don't want to graze. I don't want to eat out of boredom. I don't feel bored. I don't feel stressed or sad. I don't overeat because of it. So it helps me cut down on my overeating. So I do eat extra to make up for the calories I'm burning, but overall I'm eating relatively less than I would if I didn't do cardio, so I start losing weight. When I'm just lifting weights, I don't get that mood boosting to the same degree. I do feel really good when I'm lifting weights, but the rest of the day, I don't have that same, mental clarity and like good mood that I get from cardio. I don't have that same boosted energy that I get from cardio. And I tend to feel restless and bored and kind of lazy, kind of sluggish, and I eat more, I pick more, I eat more garbage. And so I have a tendency to gain fat in those cases. So for me, it's the opposite of what a lot of people experience, but I think then this message around, don't do cardio or you don't need cardio for losing fat, it ignores all the people like me who do engage in emotional eating, who do overeat when they're stressed, who do overeat when they're bored, who do overeat when they're not doing enough, when they're not active enough. When I'm really active, the more active I am, the less I even think about eating unless I'm hungry. When I'm not very active, food is on my mind a lot more, right? If I'm doing a lot of sitting, I think about food more often. That just happens. So people like me, cardio is absolutely useful, absolutely helpful for losing fat, absolutely can help. And, so if we change the message here, maybe like cardio is useless, like, I don't know, I think just get rid of that entirely as a message, but just really think about who you're talking to. And not everyone is a robot and could just say, oh, well, I want to lose weight, so I'm just going to cut down on my calories and I'm fine. Like some of us, like we overeat. Some of us, we love food. Some of us use food to soothe our feelings. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. But, it can become an issue, right? And if we have no outlet for that stress and boredom and sadness, then food becomes it, right? And some of us really need the exercise to balance that out. Some of us really need the cardio, and we all need the cardio, right? We all need cardio. We all have cardiovascular systems, so we need cardio exercise. But some of us, it can be really helpful for achieving those goals of fat loss and body composition changes, because it cuts back on that overeating, and it helps to normalize our eating and improve our moods. So how about we just stop encouraging people to hate cardio, to dislike cardio, because that's really what's happening. It's like, oh, you hate cardio? I do too. I'm a fitness influencer. I look great. I don't do cardio. You don't have to. It's a horrible message. Stop feeding into and justifying people's desire to be sedentary. Stop feeding into people's laziness around cardio. Stop telling them it's not necessary, despite reams of research to the contrary, showing how vastly important it is, how greatly important it is for our health and well-being, how greatly important it is for our heart. If you have a heart and it's beating, you need cardio, period. And also, how about we normalize cardio being enjoyable? It's not a slog. It doesn't have to be, on a treadmill either. Like, I like running on a treadmill. I used to do a lot of running outside. It started to hurt my knees because I was running on concrete. So now I do it all on a treadmill. I run 6 days a week. I love it. For some people, it's boring. For me, it's a great opportunity. I like having those moments where I feel bored, but I'm doing some kind of mindless activity, because it really frees me to do some of my best creative thinking and my brainstorming and problem solving and just figuring out, planning and figuring out my day and figuring out stuff that's going on in my life. I talk to myself, a little chatter, out loud or mental chatter, and it really helps me to have that time where, it might seem boring, but it frees me creatively and mentally, and it sweeps away all my mental cobwebs. So for me, I like that. Not everyone likes that. That's totally fine. You don't need a machine to get your cardio in. You can go for a walk, you can go for a hike, you can ride a bike, you can go swimming, you can dance, you can fornicate, you can twerk in your mom's basement, even fapping. If you put in enough effort, can be a good cardio session. So there are a lot of options, and it's undeniably good for you. And I think the messaging really needs to change around that. Also, how about we change the focus from focusing on aesthetics? It's always so much on aesthetics. Like, way back when, aesthetics has always been important to humans, right? We want to look good, but way back when, I think it's like a pendulum swinging, way back when all the cardio junkies, everyone was doing a lot of cardio, the aerobics era, and now we've gone the other way to just like building muscle, and that type of aesthetic. And the focus, though, is always on how we look. How about somewhere in the middle? Cardio is awesome for us. Lifting weights is awesome for us. Karate is awesome for us. If that's what you're into, I am. Hopefully you are too. But somewhere in the middle where we have all of it, a balance of all of it, and not focusing so much on how we look. Because I think, when you get all that stuff in order, when you do your cardio and do your strength training and you pay attention to your diet, body composition improves as a natural consequence of that. You don't even need to make it a goal. And certainly some people have it as a goal. They have aesthetics goals. They compete in bodybuilding or something, or they're elite athletes. And in those cases, absolutely dialing it in, being really precise with that stuff is really going to be important. But for most of us, we don't need to worry about that stuff. And I think we focus far too much on how we look. And, okay, if you want to lose fat, that can be a goal, but you don't need to stress about it. You don't need to, how about just like move more and eat less? And yeah, that's oversimplified, but really focus on the movement. I want to get better at running. I want to get better at karate. I want to get better at cooking nutritious meals, and focus on that. And as a consequence of that, your body composition will take care of itself. It will improve along the way without having to obsess about just how you look. Also, I think, just like looking good, but not being functional, not being able to go up a flight of stairs without getting winded. That's sad shit. I've seen martial artists like this whose cardiovascular fitness was far less than it should be. And like, as a martial artist, if you can't fight your way out of a paper bag because your cardio shit, that is sad. No matter how good your technical ability is, like, unless that fight is over in the first little bit, if it lasts any length of time, you need good cardio. You absolutely do, right? Or how about not being able to run away in a dangerous situation? Sometimes you need to run. And if you can't because you hate cardio, it's like, well, you're fucked, right? You know, is that what you want? Oh, I lost fat and I look beautiful, but that fight or flight situation back there, oh yeah, I died, but damn, does my ass look good. Like, I don't know, it's just not good enough. I think we've lost touch with nature and survival and what it means to be an animal, to the point that we've forgotten how incredibly important it is to be physically fit in a total body sense. You know, if you have a heart and it's beating, you need cardio. To be able to run at the sign of danger, that's so important. To be able to kick ass when needed, that is so important. Sure, looking good naked might get you laid and help you propagate the species, but you can't fuck if you're dead. There may be exceptions to that, but please let's not even think about that or discuss that. But what about, you know, also if that booty call you want is on a time limit, your bae calls you up and says, hey, I'm free, but you know, you got 2 minutes to run your ass over here. Otherwise time's up, and you don't have the stamina to run your horny ass over there, well, you're out of luck. And what about the stamina when you're there at that booty call? You do need good cardio. Martial artists, you know, we understand the importance of being able to fight. That's what we do. It's what we train for, but not every martial artist has the cardiovascular fitness to even help them in a fight. Or maybe they have good enough fitness that they can, you know, fight for the first few minutes, but then they're fucked. Or what about, you know, they have the, you know, just enough to get them so that they can fight, the technical ability, the expertise, you know, they've been doing this long enough, they're black belts, etc., but they don't have the fitness to run when needed, because sometimes fighting won't save you. Sometimes you just need to run the fuck away. Why do people hate cardio? I think it's because they don't do it. You know, if you don't do it, it's difficult. Running for me was very difficult for a long time in the beginning because I didn't do it. I didn't run, not since I was a kid. I started running regularly in my 20s and it was hard as fuck. I did a walk-run program and yeah, it sucked. It sucked. Every step is an act of will when you run, and it was difficult and I didn't like it, and it took years and years for me to get to a point where I actually like would get my second wind when I was running, and I felt good when I was running, and I really like. Earlier than that, I liked running, but I knew like it took a long time for me to feel good when I was running. I may have liked it or wanted to do it or felt driven by that challenge of getting comfortable running, but it took, yeah, so long for me to feel good when I was running. Now I can do it as a recovery workout. Now I can do it and just like chatter to myself, you know, on my treadmill as I'm running. Is really enjoyable. And now the thought of doing a challenging run doesn't overwhelm me. In the beginning, when you're not good at it, the thought of a challenging workout is like incredibly mentally taxing. But once you're good at it, it's not. It's the same with lifting weights. In the beginning, it's hard. I mean, it's always hard if you're challenging yourself, but the thought of it, it's like mentally difficult in the beginning because you've never done it. And as you get better at it, even a tough workout, you know you can do it. You know you can do it. So it just takes doing it. People hate it if they haven't done it, right? But I honestly think, you know, people who hate cardio is so much easier than lifting weights. So why not start there? It's so much easier, and good cardio makes every other activity easier. It makes carrying your groceries easier. It makes everything easier. So why not do it? And, you know, the benefits of cardio go beyond just heart health, which should be reason enough to do it. And, you know, like a couple of short sessions a week aren't going to cut it for heart health. But, you know, cardio, it boosts your mood. It gives you that high. It helps, in my case, for sure, suppressing overeating. It can help with, you know, like just decreasing your stress. And thus helping with overeating, but decreasing your stress is reason enough. It improves your cognitive function and your focus, and I totally find that when I do a lot of cardio, my brain is just ding, 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 like super focused, super productive. It boosts your immune system. Too much cardio, too much of anything, of course, is an issue, but too much cardio, doing a lot, can suppress your immune functioning. But, you know, follow guidelines or do what feels good or listen to your body, and yeah, you're gonna be healthier because of it. Also, it keeps you alive in a fight or flight situation, and damn, isn't that a good thing? Isn't that a good thing? We are animals, and we need to be fit enough and strong enough to survive. Otherwise, what fun will that be? So yeah, if you hate cardio, ask yourself, do you like being alive? Do you want to stay that way? Because cardio is sure necessary for that. I think it's challenging because there's so much noise online, so much information, and it gets filtered down, and then we hear these like short messages when maybe the big picture and the research behind it is a lot more complicated and nuanced, but we get this, diluted message that can be incredibly confusing sometimes and misleading and problematic. For me, I don't want to be beautiful but otherwise useless. I don't want just to look good, but not be able to walk up a flight of stairs or run away at the sign of danger. I don't want any obstacles in my life. I don't want anything holding me back. And of course, there's certain limitations that we can't help. We might have physical limitations. We might have genetic limitations. There's illness, disease, all sorts of things that are beyond our control. I'm not talking about that. But what I'm talking about is anything that we can control. That's what I want to control. I don't want anything to become problematic. I don't want something that I can control, like my cardiovascular fitness. I don't want that to become a problem to the point that it's a limitation in my life, right? So my cardiovascular fitness, I don't want it to be a limitation. My strength or lack thereof, my flexibility, my mobility, my lifestyle habits, I don't want any of that to be a limitation. I don't want anything holding me back from feeling my best and doing whatever the hell I want to do in my life. Cardiovascular fitness is a big part of that. Cardio isn't useless. It just might be hard if you're not used to it, but it gets easier the more you do it. And the more you do it, the more benefits you get, right? And, think about it. If you're a martial artist, which you might be if you listen to this, we like difficult things as martial artists. We really, really do. We love those challenges. And adding cardio, if you're not already doing it, hey, just consider it a challenge, just like striving for your black belt. And honestly, cardio is going to be one of those amazing things that helps us perform better in everything, right? And we don't want anything to stop us from performing our best in life and martial arts, cardio included. So get your cardio in. You'll be healthier and fitter and more awesome for it. Thanks for listening.